The stars were quiet that night, but the galaxy had learned to fear silence. Far beyond the edge of known space, the Zareth fleet drifted, massive ships like black mountains against the void. They had heard the stories, legends whispered in every star system. Humanity, weak and primitive, had survived against impossible odds. Now, the galaxy waited to see what the humans would do. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of the Zareth flagship, her many eyes scanning the star charts. "Sensors pick up movement," she said. Her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to hide it. "Ships. Human ships. Not many, but precise. Almost deliberate." Her officers exchanged nervous glances. No species had ever faced the Zareth and survived. They were the galaxy's finest warriors, bred for battle, trained to crush anyone who challenged them. Yet somehow, these humans, who had once been considered insignificant, had grown strong enough to command attention. In the distance, a small fleet appeared, shimmering blue against the black. Humanity's symbol burned bright, a simple circle with 3 lines cutting through it. But simplicity was deceptive. The humans had a reputation for unpredictability, and unpredictability was deadly in war. "Commander Rill," Alara said, "prepare the fleet for engagement. Show no mercy." Rill, a tall Zareth with armored scales glinting under the bridge lights, nodded. "Captain, do we really know what we're facing? Reports say humans. They do things no one expects." Alara turned sharply. "We do what we always do. We destroy threats before they destroy us. That is what the Zareth do." But even as she spoke, a chill ran down her spine. The humans were not supposed to reach this sector. Their expansion was slow, and yet here they were, coming toward her fleet as if they had calculated every move in advance. The human ships didn't open fire immediately. They formed a line, quiet but unyielding. Then, without warning, one of the larger human ships shot forward. It wasn't the size or speed that mattered, it was the way it moved. It danced between the Zareth cruisers, precise and dangerous, hitting weak points no one had taught the Zareth to defend. "Shields down on the 3rd cruiser," Rill shouted. "How did they?" "They are humans," Alara interrupted, her voice tight. "They do the impossible. Focus fire." But it was already too late. The human ship released a pulse, not like a weapon the Zareth had ever seen. It struck the cruisers, and the explosion wasn't just destructive, it was precise. It dismantled systems without wasting energy. The Zareth ships floundered, chaos spreading through the command structure like wildfire. Alara watched, horrified, as her strongest vessels fell, one by one. And yet, she felt something more terrifying. The humans were not reckless. Every move, every strike was measured. They were not attacking blindly, they were reshaping the battlefield according to their own rules. On the bridge of the lead human ship, Captain Aaron Kane observed the Zareth fleet with a calm intensity. "Initiate Phase 1, he said, voice steady. "They expect brute force. Let's give them strategy." His crew worked in silence, moving with precision that could only be described as unnatural. Each action had a purpose. Each command followed a plan no one outside their ship could predict. Even the smallest decision, like when to fire or when to hold, felt like part of a larger design, one that was already unfolding faster than the Zareth could react. Alara gritted her teeth. Humanity was playing a game she had not learned the rules of. And she hated it. The Zareth had never been caught off guard. They had never underestimated anyone, until now. From deep within her ship, an alarm blared. The humans had breached the outer defenses, and now smaller vessels swarmed like a hive. The Zaretha's formations collapsed under precise strikes, each human ship a calculated threat. It wasn't just war, it was art, brutal and lethal. Alara's eyes scanned the starfield. The humans were fewer, weaker in number, yet every move they made shredded the Zareth confidence. How is this possible?" she whispered. "Captain," Rill said, voice shaking. "They're not fighting like a species fearing extinction. They're fighting like predators. They've studied us, known us, and they're using our own tactics against us." Ilara clenched her fists. No. It can't be. They are humans. They shouldn't. They can't. Her words trailed off as a massive explosion shook her flagship. Her own sensors reported critical damage. Somewhere in the chaos, the humans advanced with a calmness that made the Zareth blood run cold. Every system they touched faltered. Every attack was precise. Every maneuver impossible to predict. Humanity had arrived in force, not just to fight, but to teach a lesson the galaxy would never forget. As the Zareth fleet began to retreat, Ilara stared at the stars, wondering how such small, fragile creatures could bring even the mightiest war machines to ruin. The galaxy had expected soldiers, but humanity delivered doom. And this was only the beginning. The Zareth fleet had retreated, but their defeat was far from quiet. Reports of lost cruisers and shattered formations spread like wildfire across the galaxy. For the first time in millennia, the Zareth were shaken. Their enemies, humans, had done what no one thought possible. Captain Aaron Kane watched the aftermath from his command bridge. The human ships floated gracefully, unscathed, among the debris of the enemy fleet. "Status report," he said calmly. Lieutenant Mira pressed a few controls. "Minimal damage, Captain. Only minor hull fractures on 2 ships. The Zareth lost almost a third of their fleet. They're regrouping." Aaron nodded. "Good. They think they've seen the worst of us. Let's make sure their next surprise is unforgettable." Meanwhile, across light years of empty space, the Zareth High Command convened. Admiral Karoth, a towering figure with ridged armor, slammed his clawed hand against the table. "We were humiliated. How can a handful of humans, primitive, untested, destroy our ships so easily?" Ilara Voss, now reassigned to lead recovery operations, clenched her fists. "Admiral, they're different. We can't underestimate them. They think faster, move faster, and adapt faster than any species we've faced." Karotha's eyes narrowed. "Different? They are not just different. They are dangerous. We need a plan that can crush them before they grow stronger." But what the Zareth did not realize was that Aaron Kane had already anticipated every possible counterattack. Humans had studied countless species, learned their strategies, and turned weaknesses into advantages. Each step the humans took in the galaxy was measured, calculated, almost surgical in precision. On a remote planet, hidden in the shadow of a dying sun, the human fleet gathered. Engineers and tacticians moved quickly, repairing damaged ships and preparing new weapons. But there was no panic, no fear. Humanity did not retreat in terror, it advanced in silence. Aaron stood on the observation deck of the flagship. "The Zareth will come back. They always do. But next time, they will not find us where they expect. Set course for the Peridion sector. We have an assignment waiting there." "Assignment?" Lieutenant Mira asked. Aaron smiled faintly. "Opportunity. The galaxy underestimates humans. We will use that to our advantage." Back on the Zareth flagship, Ilara studied the destroyed battlefield through the holodisplay. The humans' movements were unpredictable, yet they had left patterns, subtle hints. If she could read them, perhaps she could find a way to counterattack. Her mind raced with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. These humans weren't just fighters, they were teachers. And the lesson they taught so far had been devastating. Suddenly, sensors detected a new signal, small but unmistakable. A scout ship? No. Too precise. Too fast. It was human. And it was moving directly toward the Zareth command hub. Ilara's heart raced. "Prepare interceptors," she ordered. "Stop it at all costs." But the humans moved faster than she imagined. In seconds, the scout had bypassed multiple defense layers, appearing near the Zareth hub undetected. Panic spread among the officers. How could such a small force penetrate the heart of their defenses so easily? On board the human scout, Captain Kane activated a new device, a strange cylinder glowing with blue energy. "This will show them what happens when they underestimate humanity," he said. Phase 2 begins now. The device pulsed, and for a brief moment, the Zareth sensors failed. Communications scrambled. The hub trembled as automated defenses misfired, striking their own fleet. Chaos erupted in the command center. Ilara yelled orders, but the humans were already gone, disappearing before any counterstrike could reach them. Her mind spun. They had attacked, crippled, and vanished. No species in history had done this. The humans were ghosts, deadly, precise, unstoppable. "Captain," Rill said, trembling, "they are not just soldiers. They are everything we are not. They plan, they adapt, they strike, and they leave no trace. How do we fight ghosts?" Ilara had no answer. For the first time, she felt fear, not the fear of death, but the fear of being irrelevant. Humanity was rewriting the rules of war, and the Zareth were struggling to keep up. Far away, in the human fleet, Aaron Kane looked at the map of the galaxy. Systems controlled by the Zareth flickered in red, weak points he intended to exploit. "Let them think they understand us," he said quietly. "Let them rebuild their arrogance. When they do, the galaxy will truly see what humanity is capable of." And somewhere in the distance, a lone Zareth ship survived the skirmish, battered but functional. Its captain whispered to himself, "They are humans, and they are coming for us." The galaxy had believed it was safe, that humanity was just one species among many. But humans had arrived. They had delivered doom once, and they would do it again. The next battle would decide more than just fleets. It would decide the balance of power in the galaxy. And no one, not even the Zareth, would be ready for what came next. The galaxy whispered rumors of humanity's power. Star systems that had never seen humans trembled at their name. And yet, most believed these were mere tales, until the humans struck again. Captain Aaron Kane observed the stars from the deck of the flagship. The Peridion sector lay ahead, a cluster of resource-rich planets under Zareth control. "They'll never expect us here," he said. "And that's exactly what we need." Lieutenant Mira nodded. "Our sensors show heavy Zareth patrols, Captain. Even a small mistake could be disastrous." Aaron's lips curved into a faint smile. "Humans do not make mistakes. We adapt." Meanwhile, deep within the Zareth command network, panic had begun to settle. The repeated defeats had shaken their confidence. Admiral Koroth banged his claws against the table, summoning the surviving fleet captains. "We cannot allow these humans to continue. Their tactics are unpredictable. Their strength, unimaginable. And yet, we must strike. Do you understand?" "Yes, Admiral," Ilara Voss said, her voice tight. "But they are clever. They anticipate. They strike where we are weak. Conventional attacks will fail." "Then find a way," Koroth snapped. "We cannot let them take the Peridion sector. We cannot lose again." Ilara's mind raced. Humanity's methods were different. They didn't rely solely on firepower. They used strategy, precision, and psychology. And the more she studied them, the more terrifying they became. Back in human territory, Aaron's fleet moved like shadows across the sector. They avoided patrols, slipped past detection, and took positions unseen. Every ship had a purpose, every movement was calculated. This was not a raid. This was a lesson. The first human scout reached the outermost Zareth station. It was small, almost invisible against the stars, but inside, a small crew worked with lethal precision. Aaron activated the station's control override. Within moments, defenses shut down, doors opened, and weapons turned inward. The humans had not just bypassed security, they had rewritten it. "Phase 1 complete," Aaron said quietly. "Now the real test begins." At the Zareth command hub, alarms blared. Communications faltered. Ilara's bridge officers shouted over static and confusion. How did they get inside?" "They're humans," Ilara said, almost to herself. "They don't attack. They infiltrate. They turn our strengths against us." Elsewhere, human ships launched from hidden stations. They were fast, smaller craft but deadly. Each carried specialized technology capable of sabotaging the massive Zareth war machines without being seen. One by one, the Zareth cruisers in the Peridion sector found themselves paralyzed, their systems turned against them. Ilara's fingers flew over the controls. "Focus fire on the humans," she ordered, but the attacks missed. Humans were everywhere and nowhere, striking with precision that defied logic. In the chaos, a Zareth vessel managed to scan one of the human ships. "Captain," the pilot said, "their energy signature is unusual. It's not normal weapons energy. How do they do this?" Aaron, monitoring the situation from his flagship, smiled faintly. "We adapt. We learn. And we survive. That is how humans fight." The Zareth fleet scrambled to regroup, but it was too late. The humans had claimed the Peridion sector without losing a single ship in the process. Entire fleets were crippled, and morale among the Zareth was collapsing. Ilara turned to Rill. "We underestimated them. We thought numbers, weapons, and experience would win. But they use something we cannot predict: creativity, cunning, courage." Rill swallowed hard. "So, what do we do, Captain? How do we fight ghosts?" Ilara looked out at the stars, her mind torn between despair and fury. "We find them before they find us. We study them. And we prepare for the impossible." Far from the battle, Aaron Kane watched the Zareth fleet's retreat. His expression was calm, almost serene. "Let them rebuild their arrogance," he said softly. "Let them think the humans are small, weak, primitive. They have no idea what is coming next." In the Peridion sector, scattered Zareth survivors whispered of human power. They had seen their mighty ships fall, their defenses shattered, their pride destroyed. "They are more than soldiers," one muttered. "They are doom." And humanity was not done. This was only the beginning. Each victory was a step toward something greater, something the galaxy could not yet comprehend. Somewhere, in the shadow of a distant planet, Aaron Kane began preparing the next phase. The humans would continue to move like shadows across the stars, striking precisely where the Zareth least expected it. And the galaxy, so confident in its hierarchy of power, would learn the hard truth: humanity was unstoppable, not because of strength alone, but because they were unpredictable, clever, and willing to pay any price for survival. Ilara Voss, watching the stars, felt the weight of a new reality. The humans were coming. And the next encounter would decide more than battles. It could change the fate of the entire galaxy. The universe had underestimated humans once. It would not survive underestimating them twice. The Peridion sector was quiet now, but the calm was deceptive. The Zareth believed their fleets could regroup, but humanity was already moving again. Captain Aaron Kane studied the maps of the surrounding systems, each one blinking with potential targets. "Phase 3, he whispered. "Time to strike where it hurts most." Lieutenant Mira looked at him, concerned. "Captain, the Zareth have recovered faster than we expected. They are rebuilding defenses." Aaron smiled faintly. "Good. That means they are predictable. And predictability is weakness." Across the sector, Zareth engineers worked tirelessly to repair damaged ships. Ilara Voss oversaw the operations, her eyes sharp despite the exhaustion that weighed on her. The humans had shattered their formations, but they had survived. For now. Her mind raced with possibilities. Humans were not just fighters, they were strategists, saboteurs, and innovators. Every attack they made was precise. Every withdrawal was deliberate. They were not here to fight battles, they were here to control outcomes. Suddenly, alarms blared across the hub. "Incoming ships!" shouted a Zareth officer. Multiple contacts, small, fast, and maneuvering unpredictably. Ilara's heart sank. Humans. They are back. The first wave of human ships darted through the debris of the recovering fleet. Their movements were almost graceful, weaving between the Zareth cruisers like threads of a deadly fabric. Weapons fired, but the humans seemed to anticipate every strike. Shields flared and vanished, systems overloaded and shut down, and within minutes, the Zareth fleet was in chaos again. Aaron Kane activated a new device aboard his flagship, a sphere of glowing blue energy. "Deploy the disruptors," he ordered. "Let them feel the consequences of underestimating humans." The disruptors fired silently. Zareth ships trembled as energy pulses scrambled their communications, shut down engines, and turned weapons against their own fleet. Entire squadrons were immobilized in seconds. Ilara watched in disbelief. "Impossible," she whispered. "No species should survive this." But the humans were everywhere and nowhere, invisible threads pulling at the Zaretha's pride and power. Their attacks were methodical yet terrifyingly fast, leaving no time for recovery. Each strike was surgical, targeting weak points no one else could see. Meanwhile, Aaron surveyed the battlefield. "Phase 3 complete," he said quietly. "Now, we prepare the final phase. They think they know us, but they have no idea what is coming next." Across the galaxy, whispers of humanity's victories spread like wildfire. Star systems that once ignored humans now trembled. Merchants, scientists, and even rival species watched closely, realizing that the humans were not just a threat, they were rewriting the rules of war. Back at the Zareth hub, Ilara turned to her officers. "We cannot fight them conventionally. They will continue to strike where we are weakest, where we least expect. We must anticipate them, or we are finished." Rill's voice was tight with fear. "Captain, they are not just soldiers. They are strategists, engineers, and predators all at once. We don't have the technology or the speed to match them." Ilara clenched her fists. "Then we fight smarter. We learn from their attacks. We adapt. Humanity is dangerous, yes, but they are not invincible. We need a plan that can turn their tactics against them." But as she spoke, another wave of human ships appeared. Faster, smarter, and more precise than before. The Zareth ships fired desperately, but the humans seemed to move in ways no one could anticipate. Entire squads were disabled, weapons destroyed, shields overwhelmed, and systems jammed. Aaron Kane watched the chaos unfold with calm precision. "They rely on strength and numbers. We rely on intelligence, adaptation, and strategy. Let them continue to fight like they always have. It will only make their downfall more inevitable." Ilara's mind raced. Humanity was no longer just an enemy. They were a force rewriting the galaxy's balance of power. Every failed attack, every surprise maneuver, every crippled cruiser was a reminder that humans were different. They did not fight like anyone else. They fought like predators who knew exactly where to strike. In the distance, a lone Zareth ship survived the human onslaught. Its captain muttered, "They are everywhere. They see everything. They are not just humans, they are a nightmare." Aaron Kane, aboard his flagship, activated the final disruptor. A wave of energy rippled across the sector, targeting Zareth command systems, navigation, and weapons. Entire fleets collapsed in disarray, and even the surviving ships could barely respond. "Prepare for extraction," Aaron ordered. "The galaxy is learning a lesson it cannot forget." As the humans withdrew, the Peridion sector lay in ruins. The Zareth fleets were scattered, their pride shattered, their confidence broken. And yet, Captain Ilara Voss knew this was only the beginning. Humanity was not done. They had survived every counterattack, predicted every move, and struck where it hurt most. The universe had expected soldiers, but humanity delivered doom. And next, they would show the galaxy what it truly meant to fear humans. The galaxy held its breath. The Zareth, once feared as unstoppable, now trembled at the name of humanity. Captain Ilara Voss studied the holographic maps of the Peridion sector. Every star, every fleet position, every escape route was marked. Yet even with all their calculations, the humans remained unpredictable. "They're planning something," she said, voice low. "Something devastating." Rill's multi-eyed gaze flicked nervously across the table. "Captain, we've seen their attacks. They strike fast, precise, surgical. But this feels bigger. Like they are not just winning battles, they're setting a trap. Ilara nodded. And if we walk into it, the consequences will be catastrophic. Far from the Zarath hub, Captain Aaron Kane stood on the observation deck of the flagship. The Peridion sector lay quiet beneath them, the remnants of previous battles glowing faintly in the distance. Phase 4 begins tonight, he said. They will think they can rebuild. They will think they have learned from us. But we will show them the full extent of human ingenuity. Lieutenant Mira looked at him, a hint of unease in her voice. Captain, are we ready for what comes next? They're stronger, faster, smarter than ever. Aaron's eyes were cold, calculating. We are always ready. That is what makes humans dangerous. We do not rely on strength alone. We rely on adaptation, strategy, and unpredictability. And they will never see it coming. Back at the Zarath hub, panic was spreading. Smaller fleets that had survived previous engagements now reported unusual energy readings, fluctuations in spacetime near the Peridion sector. Captain, sensors indicate distortions, one officer said. We do not understand them. Ilara's heart raced. They are human. They always have a plan within a plan. Suddenly, the first wave of human ships emerged from hidden hyperspace corridors, appearing inside the Peridion sector like ghosts. Their speed was terrifying, their formation precise. Zarath cruisers fired, but the humans dodged effortlessly, weaving through laser fire as if anticipating every shot. Aaron activated the new disruptor arrays. Energy ripples shot outward, targeting command ships and disabling their shields. Entire Zarath squadrons faltered, their systems turning against them. The humans advanced with almost surgical efficiency, dismantling the Zarath fleet piece by piece. Ilara barked orders, but chaos had already spread. Focus fire. Target the lead ship, she shouted, but the humans had already shifted positions, attacking weak points no one expected. In the midst of the chaos, Aaron's flagship released the next part of the plan, a series of autonomous drones designed to infiltrate Zarath ships and systems. The drones were small, nearly invisible, but lethal. They moved through the enemy vessels, sabotaging engines, weapons, and communications. Entire fleets fell into disarray within minutes. Ilara's voice trembled as she tried to regain control. They are everywhere. How is this possible? They are too few. There should be more of us than them. Aaron Kane's voice echoed across the fleet. Calm, precise, terrifying. Strength is not numbers. Strength is intelligence. Strength is adaptability. Humanity is unstoppable because we do not fight like anyone else. The Zarath tried one last desperate maneuver, a concentrated assault on the human command fleet. But even this failed. The humans had predicted it, prepared for it, and turned the attack back on the Zarath. Ships that should have been invincible were crippled in minutes. Systems failed. Weapons misfired. Communications collapsed. Ilara slumped into her chair, exhaustion and fear weighing her down. She had faced countless enemies in her career, but never like this. Humanity was not just a species, it was a force, a predator that adapted faster than any weapon or strategy the Zarath could devise. Aaron watched the battlefield from his deck. The Zarath fleet lay in ruins, scattered and broken. He allowed himself a rare smile. Phase 4 complete, he said quietly. And they still do not understand us. But even as the humans prepared to withdraw, a new ripple of tension spread through the Peridion sector. Ilara's sensors detected it first. Massive energy surges unlike anything seen before. Captain, an officer said, they are activating something large. Something unstoppable. Ilara's blood ran cold. They are not finished, she whispered. They never are. Aaron Kane, meanwhile, initiated the final step of the plan. A massive construct, a fusion of human technology and strategic brilliance, emerged from the hidden depths of the sector. It was not just a weapon, it was a statement. Every attack, every maneuver, every sabotaged fleet had been a precursor to this moment. The construct pulsed with energy, capable of dismantling entire fleets, destabilizing planets, and rewriting the very rules of war. Aaron watched as the Zareth detected it too late. "They expected soldiers," he said softly. "But we deliver doom." And as the construct's energy began to radiate across the sector, Alara realized the terrifying truth: humanity was no longer fighting just for survival. They were reshaping the galaxy, and the Zareth, and everyone else, were powerless to stop it. The galaxy had been warned. And now, it would witness humanity's full fury. The Peridion sector trembled under the hum of the massive construct. It floated silently, a fusion of human ingenuity and power, glowing with energy that could crush fleets and destabilize entire planets. The Zareth watched in disbelief, their finest ships scattered, their command networks crippled. This was no ordinary battle. This was the final lesson humanity would teach. Captain Alara Voss stood on the bridge of her flagship, heart pounding. This cannot be," she whispered. "They are not just soldiers. They are gods of war." Her officers were silent. Even the most seasoned Zareth pilots could not find a strategy to counter what they were seeing. Every maneuver they attempted was anticipated, every weakness exploited. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement. Aaron Kane, aboard his flagship, observed the Zareth fleets with calm precision. "This is not victory yet," he said quietly. "This is the demonstration. Phase 5 begins." The humans released fleets of drones, hundreds, maybe thousands, each one capable of precise sabotage and attack. Zareth ships faltered, shields collapsed, weapons misfired, and command systems spiraled into chaos. Entire formations crumbled without a single human casualty. Lieutenant Mira glanced at Aaron. "Captain, the Zareth are trying to retreat, but they can't. Their fleets are paralyzed." Aaron nodded. "Exactly. They cannot escape the lesson. And the galaxy will never forget it." At the Zareth hub, Alara tried one last desperate measure. "Target the human construct," she shouted. "Concentrate all firepower." Massive energy beams lashed out from the Zareth ships, striking the glowing human construct. For a moment, it flickered. Then, as if laughing at their efforts, it stabilized and expanded. The construct's energy rippled outward, absorbing and redirecting the attacks with perfect efficiency. Every strike the Zareth made turned against them, crippling more ships, causing systems to overload, and spreading fear across their ranks. Alara staggered back. "No, no. This cannot be. We are the strongest species. How can humans?" Aaron Kane's voice echoed over the fleet's communication channels, calm but commanding. "You expected soldiers. You faced humans. And now, you understand the cost of underestimating us." The Zareth flagship exploded in a silent shockwave. Another cruiser followed. Entire squadrons disintegrated under the coordinated assault of drones, disruptors, and the massive human construct. Fear spread like wildfire, replacing pride with desperation. Alara felt her control slipping. For the first time in her life, she saw her people truly vulnerable, powerless against a force they could not predict. Humanity was everywhere at once and nowhere at the same time. Every attempt to counterattack was anticipated, every weakness exploited. Aaron watched from the flagship's bridge. His calm gaze never wavered. "Phase 6, he murmured. "Time to finish." He activated the construct fully. It expanded, emitting a pulse that reached across the Peridion sector. Zareth systems jammed. Engines failed. Weaponry turned inward. Even the planets themselves shivered under the energy surge. Humanity's power was undeniable, unstoppable, final. Rill looked at Alara, voice trembling. "Captain, it's over. They've done it. There's nothing left to stop them." Alara clenched her fists, staring at the glowing humans across space. "No, they can't. They are humans." Aaron Kane's fleet moved with deadly grace. The Zareth could no longer form defenses, no longer regroup, no longer retaliate. Every attempt to resist ended in failure. Humanity had delivered doom, not as an accident, not as brute force, but as a precise, unrelenting strategy that left the galaxy shaking. And then, just as quickly as it had arrived, the human fleet withdrew. Drones returned to their motherships. The massive construct dimmed but remained, a silent monument to human power. The Peridion sector lay in ruins, the Zareth scattered, their pride shattered, their confidence destroyed. Aaron Kane looked at the galaxy through the viewport. They expected soldiers, he said softly. They faced humans. And now, the galaxy knows the truth. Ilara Voss, wounded and exhausted, stared at the stars. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had survived. They had adapted. They had won against the mightiest warriors in the galaxy. And they had delivered a lesson that would echo for generations. Somewhere in the distance, scattered Zareth survivors whispered in fear and awe. They are unstoppable. They are humans. The galaxy had expected soldiers. Humanity had delivered doom. And as the human fleet disappeared into the stars, one truth became clear. No species would ever underestimate humanity again. For humans were not just survivors. They were predators, strategists, and warriors all at once. They were unpredictable. They were relentless. They were unstoppable. And the galaxy would never be the same.